All right, welcome and thank you for coming to the class Listings Maximize the Bidding Process. My name is David Berg and I work with Homes on the Sound and Place, part of Keller Williams Puget Sound. So we're going to be teaching the class how to create bidding wars that thrill your clients. Just so you know, Place is we're in 65 major markets and we're a platform that we offer to multiple agents. Part of Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez, over $2 billion in sales in 2020, $53 million in revenue in 2020 as well. And I'm the owner of Homes on the Sound. I'm the managing broker. My name is David Berg. So please eliminate any distractions. Make sure you're in a quiet space, ideally with your cell phone ringer turned off or set on Do Not Disturb. There's a little button right there. There's a saying that we use, the best defense is a good offense, by Jack Dempsey. So as I just mentioned a little bit ago, right now you're muted. There will be a few times I may call on you throughout the class, so please remember to unmute your microphone. And as far as Q&As, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of the class, so please hold your questions until then. Now, one thing that we always look for when we go into a listing appointment is we always take the Law of Real Estate Agency pamphlet, and two things that are really important in there are section 3B and section 4A. It's honesty, to deal honestly and in good faith. And then section 4A is to be loyal to the seller by taking no action that is adverse or detrimental to the seller's interest in a transaction. So what that means is just basically make sure that you're honest and ethical. It's also part of your duties of NAR for those of you that are part of NAR. And when we go to a listing, we actually use something called the market is a beauty contest. And you as the agent are maximizing the bidding process the moment you meet with the sellers. At Place, we use throughout our business PEMC, we call it PEMC, which is plan, execute, measure, correct. So we want to plan something. For example, how it shows, we only have one chance to make that first impression. Then we execute, we go live on the market. And then we measure. We really want to keep track of the number of showings and the feedback. And then your price correction. Expectations for the sellers. We want to make sure that there's a return on investment, the ROI on staging. So staging sells homes. If it costs $3,000 to stage a home, but it's going to make it sell for about $20,000 more, that's almost a 7-to-1 ROI. We want to make sure that our photos, that everything's ready for the photographer. The driveways are cleared, the garbage cans and cars are moved, toilet seats down, all lights on. We want to have silent talkers. Those highlight the hidden features that you cannot showcase in the MLS. Do you guys know what silent talkers are? Does anybody not? You can just raise your hand. Silent talkers, for those who don't know, are the little signs that we put on the wall to let them know that, you know, views of Mount Rainier or something like that. Two hurdles that we want to make sure that they're ready for is the inspection and the appraisal. We always want to let them know that here's what's going to happen next. So if there's going to be an appraisal next, we let them know that there's so many days until the appraisal is going to be in, and so on. Another thing that we do is, and we actually let the agents know this, is that we tell our sellers to go away for the weekend. One thing that I'd highly recommend is that you invest in an Airbnb. There's actually if you go to winmakegive.com/resources, you guys want to write that down. You can download what's called 10 Homes in 30 Years from Win Make Give. It's also a podcast, so I'd recommend like listening to that. Listen to the Wealth series. You can also go to winmakegive.com/wealth, and that's the Wealth series. Ben Kinney teaches it, and it's awesome. Now, keep in mind, sellers expect something from you. As soon as you go to a listing appointment, they want to know the following. They want to know what the average sale price is for homes like theirs. These are things that you should kind of have tucked in the back of your mind. the housing inventory, what the local market is doing, and just be ready, because there's a good chance they're gonna try to ask you what they recommend listing at. Try not to give them a definite number, but let them know maybe a range perhaps. Just kind of know that before you even go there. And then you can always give yourself a reason to meet later and go back and fine tune that number. It's really important. Pricing just below that average sales blowing up. It's more of a balancing act. And you want to look at homes that are not selling. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so there's also the homes that are not selling. You want to make sure that they know why the homes are not selling. Buyers buy for two reasons. They buy the most features and benefits, and they're looking for the best price. There's something called eBaying for homes, which is the emotional bidding war. So even if you priced it really low, which is going to stink for you, it's going to bid way up. But ideally, we use this spreadsheet that we just figure out the price per square foot. And this green area right here, what we do is we kind of chop off the ones that are too high, the ones that just make it unrealistic, like an 853,000. We would say that's in the red zone. 805,000 is in the yellow zone. You might be able to get there, but we have a grouping right here of 738 all the way to 788. It's like a $50,000 spread. And then we meet right around in the middle. And this right here, letting them know that we price it right in that range to get the bidding started. Now there's a good chance that it could bid up to the 805 or even the 853. And now you're going to have appraisal issues because they're going to want to see probably these three comparables, 788 to 853 is going to be right in that range. Obviously, there are other factors like size of the lot and stuff like that. But it's very important, once again, setting that expectation. 30 seconds of offense will beat out 30 minutes of defense every time. NAR states that 10 showings with no offers or 2 weeks with no offers means that we priced it too high. So you want to note defects that would make it sell for less than the list price. Once again, like I mentioned earlier, we had a kitchen that was way too small and the stove was shoved up against the refrigerator, making it a really tight squeeze to get in there. That's one of those things that will kill it it's a really expensive remodel. Another thing to help out on your pricing is allow pre-inspections. Do a pre-inspection, have your sellers do that before it goes on the market. You do not want to allow buyer pre-inspections to clog up all your showing time. That will happen sometimes. So it's important to kind of advise your sellers to get a pre-inspection. Once again, pricing, we use Brevity CMA. It's helpful and helps us get in there and find our what we call 5-5-5, 5 actives, 5 pendings, and 5 solds. And then we can kind of go from there. Those solds are where it's at. The pendings are the sweet spot. That's what's going to get the offers. And then obviously your actives are the competition. You want to make sure that actives is not really the word you use, but let your sellers know that that's your competition. They're your not solds. And try to figure out with your sellers why they're not selling. Once again, how it shows staging sells homes, we call it SSH. If it costs $3,000, but it's going to sell for $20,000 more, that's almost a 7-to-1 ROI, return on investment. So staging is very worth it to me. Here's something we like to call, ask yourself, how many of you seen Queen's Gambit? Show of hands, anybody? It's a great series and it's really good. Basically, every time you go on the market, you have a weekend-long poker or a weekend-long chess game. So when you're listing, you're going to be getting a lot of people that are probably asking you, like, how many offers do you have, stuff like that. I actually prefer that they text me these questions and I text them back. Now, if I were representing a buyer, I'd want to feel out the agent and really like, see if they're lying about anything or anything like that. We pick chess. We actually prefer the strategy of using a chess game. And the strategy for us is going live on Thursday and reviewing all offers the following Tuesday. We typically allow like a noon, highest and best due by noon. And then we give ourselves about 2 hours to kind of get them all squared away and all the papers shuffled. And then we review them between 2 and 3 p.m. That's when we meet with the sellers. Question for you guys, and you can type it in the chat. Are offer review dates helpful in this market? Yes or no? Anybody have any feedback on that? And you can unmute too if you'd like. All right.
I was just going to quickly say generally yes, but late summer with slowdowns in certain areas, that's caused some of us to kind of rethink the review, I guess.
Yeah.
Certain price points, certain locations where we've found a trend where escalations have slowed down significantly. Some of us have said, okay, well, let's just do it upon receipt, depending on seller preferences, but there's nothing real scientific that we're using to go with one or not.
Now, Derek, you work at Redfin. So do you work primarily listings or primarily buyers, or how does your business look?
I'm hybrid, primarily, I don't know, maybe 2/3 buy side, 1/3 listings. It's kind of how it's panning out this year.
Yeah. So what we do a lot of times is we'll put it on the market and we will review offers upon receipt. But like you were mentioning, seasonality kind of kicks in and people are kind of onto that. So usually we'll allow those offers to come in, and I'm always upfront with agents. We let them know that they've gone away for the weekend. We actually use Airbnb, a place that we have to send them to. And as soon as we get like 2, preferably 3 offers, that's when we'll actually change that to, offer review date probably on Tuesday. So we want to set that expectation with the other agents that sellers are waiting for the open houses to complete before really reviewing anything. And you just want to be honest. You want to let agents know that you asked the sellers to leave town for the weekend. Do not lie, whatever you do, because that's just going to ruin your reputation. So it's important that you keep honest and ethical.
Yeah, I have an offer review date. I have not been able to get away from them. It does depend on the property, but no, unreal, very, very aggressive. So even at over a million, just had one just amazing last night that got 400,000 over 1.1.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Robin.
It was in Maple Valley and it was beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I know what you're talking about. Great.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit, maybe in the last 2 months, there might have been a little bit of unease where buyers, they shows in the statistics, buyers backed off a little bit in September, and maybe just beginning October, but no, it's fast and furious right now. For a $1.1 million home to have 100 people through an open house in 3 hours, no, that's insanity. That's insanity. We had 7 home inspections, pre-inspections done on this. And I understand what you're saying about, the crossover with the buyers, but the reality, when you have the open houses and you let them get in there and then they have the opportunity to do an inspection, that creates a lot of value. And if you give them 2 hours, I mean, this spun up, this went up. And I mean, everything waved. And not that I would ever recommend this, $300,000 earnest money given to seller. Unreal, completely non-refundable, of course, for seller type of thing, So yeah, unreal.
So they applied it towards their purchase price though, right?
Of course.
Okay,
But
awesome.
basically, yeah, that's that. Yeah, I mean, 400,000 over. I mean, oh my gosh. And they were just a tad bit higher than the next offer.
Awesome. So did this actually, what did that comp out at, if you don't mind me asking?
It comps out at a closer to 1 million.
1 million, and you priced it at 1.1?
Mhm.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because
You got,
seller, well, no, about 1,050,000 because seller's best friend's an appraiser. And then of course, now look at what we're getting here. So I mean, and there's one around in a Superior neighborhood that sold 1,389
oh, awesome. Yeah.
and in better condition. I mean, over 100,000 more updates, but this was in such beautiful condition. I worked with them for 8 months on this, so I mean, there's more to the story. But they did do some nice stuff, and what they did was so well done. And what between the two of them, there's just a lot of to strategically positioning a property. Sorry, I can't talk today, but
Oh, no.
you're supposed to be talking, so go.
No, that's good. I appreciate that. I love the feedback, and I like to see what other agents are doing too. So
Yeah, I think what we don't plan for, though, even with the offer review date, the multitudes of calls. So, I mean, agents, even doesn't matter how much, I mean, even with the title report, even with the Form 17, even with every other stinking form you can think of online, and you're talking about staging. I didn't stage this house. In fact, I went up, every agent that I went up against wanted to stage it, but we did virtually stage it.
wow.
And the feedback, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the feedback was profound, because when buyers come in and they see a staged house, one thing, they don't know if seller's hiding anything underneath these staged items. They know that the bed is fake, and they understand it's a bedroom. Well, if with virtually staging, I can take a family room, I can make it a theater room, and I can make it something else. Okay.
Right.
So I can make it a game room. And I do that all the time. You don't see any realtors out there in the business doing that. I'll do the same room with different things. I sold a house in DuPont for $75,000 more because I staged it as a game room. And these people called and said, I never would have thought of that for that space. And it's exactly what we're looking for. And they had to have it.
Yeah. Actually, Maddie does our virtual staging. Do you use Box Brownie?
I haven't. I'd be interested in any. So I think what my concern is there's not all the virtual furniture is really more for the grayer tones.
Yeah.
And, it starts looking, it's kind of like, okay, I can only take so many white couches. Sorry.
Who do you use for the virtual staging?
Just VS24.
VS24. Maddie, make a note of that. We have 5 listings that are coming on between today and tomorrow, and I know Maddie's been working on getting those.
Yeah, they're going to
Box
take
Brownie.
24 to 48 hours though to get that turnover with the virtual staging. But yeah, no, I can't do any of no, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I send everything out. No.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great. The next thing is open houses. How many of you guys do open houses? You guys offer a kickoff open house where you just mostly do it the first weekend?
I've got a bunch. You want to feedback?
What's that?
I do want us to interject at all, and that's why I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's okay.
I will tell you that I do something different. I will send out a just listed card, and on the just listed card, I'm going to invite all the neighbors. I'm going to invite them to a special VIP open house an hour before the rest of the public open house. And so that way, if they have any friends or any cool people that they want to move to the neighborhood, because they aren't going to want, weird freak shows. So invite them for a special VIP and come and have coffee with me or whatever it may be. So, kind of invite them in. And so they have an hour before. If people come early, they come early. You're not going to shut the door on anybody, and nobody's going to know any different, but it makes them feel special and they love it.
Very cool. Yeah. We do it a little bit differently. We have the kickoff open house. We invite the neighbors to come 1 hour early. And the reason is we want to get those licky-loos out of there. We want to get them in and out. And that's our chance to kind of meet with sellers. But then at the same time, it makes it so we have people that are going to maybe say that the neighbors are loud next door or something like that. We don't want them telling buyers about that. So it's kind of a,
Absolutely. It's great. Yeah, but that's perfect. It works great.
yeah. And then limit your open house. Believe it or not, we try to limit it to just 2 hours because crowds draw crowds. And if you have just a dead open house where it's one person every once in a while, it might be better for you as the buyer's agent because you're getting to actually connect with those people, but you want to create urgency, and crowds draw crowds is the flock mentality. New things are exciting to people, and that's what we want to encourage to get the bidding going. So when do you allow escalators versus highest and best? Anybody want to comment? Does anybody use escalators for your buyers? Does anybody allow them for your listings?
I do all the above. So since nobody else is chiming in, I don't want to be the one just chiming in here. But no, here's the reality. You guys escalate it highest and best, whatever you want to do, because we're going to go back to the top 3 and we're going to go back for highest and best at that point.
Yeah.
Unless something is, unless there's something different. So the great thing is the escalation allows it to escalate up. Highest and best, could, really help, set some, nice high dollars, and seller can do whatever they want. But that really is what the end result was. And that's how we got to 1.5 on that Maple Valley house.
Yes. We'll do the same thing. We'll actually, we'll allow buyers to use them. And I encourage you, if you have buyers, you should be using escalators. They're not as great for the sellers, but they can be. We just ask that the buyers, we'll show them the competing offer, but we don't really want to let our sellers know that there's money left on the table. If it's an extreme amount, if it's pretty close to the top of that escalator, that's nice. But regardless, we prefer not to use them on the listing side. And we just ask them to truly submit their highest and best if they don't mind. But yeah, I like your thinking, Robin. So basically making it through the weekend, we allow the emotions to kick in for the buyers. We make sure that they truly want it. A lot of people, they probably know the saying of people think logically, yet they will act based off of emotions. So logic will make you think and emotions will make you act. We've learned that in bold. So that's about all I have. Some of the resources obviously for rentals, it's really good to get an Airbnb or something like that. I recommend listening to the Win Make Give podcast. You can go to winmakegive.com/resources. And there's actually the 10 homes in 30 years for the investment series. CRM, we use Brevity platform, coaching. Here's a book that I highly recommend, The Coaching Habit: Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever. That's a really great book, not just for like coaching your team members or your employees, but also for coaching your clients. For getting listings, we use Hush Offer. Basically allows us to get listings, and that's another thing. Any questions? Anybody have any questions or comments you'd like? All right, well, that's all I have. And I thank you guys all for coming today. And feel free to write down my number. You probably already have it already. It's 253-243-2499. You can feel free to call or text me anytime. All right.
Well, so nice of you, David. You're wonderful.
Oh, well, thanks, Robin. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.